Hi, Ebony.
Hi, Joylynn.
How's everything been going?
Things have been going great. I'm really
Okay,
excited.
I'm excited as well. So tell me about your book progress. I saw the cover. It is absolutely amazing. Have you had a cover reveal yet?
I have not had a cover reveal yet.
Okay,
So I've been
good.
trying to decide what to do regarding like review or reveal or not, because I'm still trying to make myself get over what happened last time with my book. So I've been really nervous, but I feel more excited this time though.
Okay, good, good, good. Because I always say with your cover reveal, attach it to your pre-order campaign.
Yeah.
Have that book up ready for pre-order on your website, wherever you're going to be selling it, on the retail distributors' websites. Make sure you have that buy link so that people who have that immediate interest, they will
Mhm.
be able to buy it immediately and pre-order the book. And then the good thing about having your pre-order sales link to your website is that you get the money instantly. Of
Right.
course, having it to your retailers such as Barnes and Noble, Amazon, Ingram Spark, you're going to be waiting about 3 months for your very first royalty check from that book. And that's 3 months after the actual release. I like to have my pre-order campaign buy link to my website. Again, I get that money instantly, and it helps me to pay for the production of my book. Whatever phase it's in at that point, it
Mhm.
helps me be able to put that money back into the book, pay for any type of printing, any type of prepaid book reviews, just whatever. I like to have that money instantaneously. But there's always going to be people who have Amazon Prime and they want their money's worth. So they're going to
Right.
order that book from Amazon regardless.
Right.
They want to use that Prime, they want free shipping. But that's the second thing that I'm always teaching, to incorporate the shipping cost into the price of your book. I know a lot of people don't like the idea of having to raise the price on your book. But when you're running a business, um, the price of the things that you need to continue operating your business is going up. The price of paper, the price of your QuickBooks service, the cost of your email service provider.
Mhm.
Everyone else is raising these prices, which makes your profit margin smaller. Okay. So
Right.
books cannot be $14.95 forever. They cannot be $15.95 forever for that trade paperback, especially for independent author publishers like ourselves. That price gap, that the price of the book has to go up, because again, so many of the other services that we're paying to produce the book, the cost of editors, the cost of designers, their programs, the cost of their programs is increasing. So they have to increase the cost of their service. It's sad because it almost seems like you're um, gatekeeping entertainment, wisdom, knowledge in the form of a book. Gatekeeping with prices, a financial barrier being one of the tools being used to gatekeep. But at the end of the day, most independent authors and publishers, they can't order huge offset printing print runs that keeps the cost of their print down. And so, as a last resort, you're either going to do, fully digital, all digital, which a lot of major publishers do have digital only, ebook only imprints, or you're going to have to raise the cost of that book. And every other form of entertainment, they've increased their cost. Movie theater tickets, they have no problem increasing the cost. The cost of their lease is going up. The cost of their distributors for their packaging, for their popcorn, sodas, all of that, it's going up. We're entertainers, we're literary artists. We're entertaining through our written words. So there's no reason why the cost of entertainment should rise in every other categories and the book industry continues to suffer. trying to keep that same $14.95 book since I've been in the industry, which is a quarter of a century. I'm just saying. So I say all of that to say, you know, as you have that, you showed me the front cover. I know you're going to be getting the full cover, and we know the barcode needs to go on the back cover, and attached to the barcode needs to be the ISBN and the cost, the price of the book. And so I say all this that to say, make sure you do the numbers, that you do your math. Numbers do not lie. What you've invested in the production of this book, including working with industry professionals like myself. You know, it's a tax write-off, but it's also, you know.
It still initially costs a lot of money.
Yes, it does. Yeah, so just, you know, think about that. It's a business. Like I say, act like an author, act like a publisher, think like a business. At the end of the day, this is a business. So I'm so excited for you. So really think about all of these things. Do you have a projected release date?
Next month sometime.
Okay.
Because I'm supposed to be getting everything done for my first vendor event, which is at Miss Colette's Juneteenth, which is going to be on June 23rd. So we have like about 70 more pages she has to go through, because she's been going through the whole book, plus her book is releasing too at the same time. So we have about 70 more pages she has to go through. And then after I go through and fix it, send it back, and then we're going to send it to the line copy editor.
Now, yes, you do know with a book coming out next, a release date of next month isn't realistic. You're still in the editing phase. So that's not realistic. Unless you're going to operate under a spirit of rush. So you have to choose to operate under a spirit of rush or a spirit of excellence, because you want to do it right the first time. I contributed to an anthology that Valerie J. Lewis Coleman put together, and it's called Do It Right the First Time. You want to do it right the first time. You want to set your release date, and you want to spend 3 to 6 months building up an audience and anticipation. You want to do this for you and your audience, not for an event. This is about your book, your message, and your audience, and you building them up. This isn't to be able to set up a table at an event, because you can pre-sell at the event without your book. I've taught my clients how to do that. There's Cash App, there's Venmo, there's Zelle. There's so many ways. There's PayPal, there's Square, there's the QuickBooks. You can pre-sell your book at an event.
Okay.
Your pitch, your story, you're selling yourself, you're selling your story, you're selling your story outside of the book to sell the story in the book. So you can set up at an event, and you can have that can be your reveal. That can actually be your reveal. You can have someone FaceTime live, you pulling off the cover, the sheet or whatever. You remember I did that at the 2018 Act Like an Author, Think Like a Business conference. I had my banner up. Oh, yeah, you were at the 2019. Yeah, okay. I had my banner up, and I had my black sheet over it, and I had someone doing the FaceTime Live. I mean, not the FaceTime Live, the Facebook Live. And I introduced it in front of the live audience as well as the virtual audience. And then I took pre-orders. I still sold the book. You know, I always say you can make money from your book before it's even printed.
Right.
Because the editing phase is the most important phase. It's the price tag on editing. You know how that is. That's one of, besides printing the books, that can be the highest price tag on the book. It's editing. And you want your editor to be able to sleep with your manuscript. You want them to be able to sleep with your manuscript. At Path to Publishing, we stopped doing rush editing. There's no amount of money you can pay us. We refuse the jobs. There was a time we would charge a rush fee. Now it's just internal policy. We don't do any rush projects ever again for anybody for any amount of money, because it's not fair to the client and it's not fair to us. There's a level of stress that comes with a rush project. And with editing, a lot of us, we operate in the spirit. So we want to hear what the spirit is saying about this book and this project, not just our skills and our technique and our anointing on the craft of editing, but we also wanted that time to be able to walk away from it and hear from the spirit, to see what the spirit tells us about it. And we cut out the Holy Ghost when we do a rush project. And so we cut out the Holy Ghost. I mean, plain and simple. We something gonna get cut out when
you're right. You're right. Because I definitely don't want what happened last time.
Yes. And it wasn't us, disclosure. It was not Path to Publishing.
Not you. It was someone independent. It was actually multiple independent people. And when I go back and think about it, it was like, it wasn't done, still wasn't done. The job that we're supposed to do, but there were still grammatical, there's still developmental that needed to be done. Like, stuff didn't make sense.
Yeah. And it's funny because Brandy Miller, one of our literary companions, she wrote a Mother's Day tribute yesterday, and it was about great mothers, great editors. And it reminded her, when my team's working with me, when anybody's working with me, my delivery could be a little bit different with editing, but I always tell people, I'm not going into your work to find out how great it is or what's wrong. I'm going into your work to make it great, to make it better than what it already is. So I go in to find everything wrong with it. That's just the type of editor I am. I'm going into your book to find absolutely everything wrong with this manuscript. Kind of like immunization. I'm gonna hit you with it, and then when the world hits you with it, it won't kill you. You get your flu shot, you get your COVID shot, you get your immunization. So that when you go out there and somebody around you got it, it's not gonna kill you. So I'm kind of a rough editor like that. But I'm practicing and working on my delivery, making sure that after I go through and find all of those things that are wrong, that I can come back with a second phase before I give it to the author. Now that I've found all of those things that can make it greater. Candace Orderstep Johnson, she's one of our amazing editors here at Path to Publishing. And there's a word she uses now, opportunities. Here's an opportunity to make this thing so much better. That delivery is a little bit better and it's softer. I like that.
Right.
So now I'm really not finding things that are wrong with the book. I'm finding opportunities where you can make it better. So I love how Candace uses that now. Opportunities. Here are opportunities. And it hits differently. It's kind of like a softer blow. But I don't do editing for Path to Publishing anymore. I do most of my work now is over with Path to Connections. I still do literary consulting for my one-on-one clients. But yeah, I was that editor where people be like, we about to do some work with Joylynn. Oh no, I don't know if I want to work with Joylynn. But the editors who work for Path to Publishing, they are some are just gifted, some are just really great at it, some are really talented at it, and then some are anointed, because I believe there's a difference. You can be good at something and you could be anointed at something. And so we have them all. So just think about that.
You're right. It was mentioned to me before by your mentee.
Yeah.
She said the same thing to me.
Yeah.
Because I was feeling the actual, like, the pain of editing for the first time, really, because I didn't get that the first time around. I got a lot of little fluff, it's so good for your first book, and and all this and stuff. And in my head, I'm thinking, there's still stuff not right with this book. I read a lot. And I don't, it's, my book is not the way the other books are that I've read. Like, and so this time, like, I'm literally getting that.
Yes.
The red.
Yeah.
And, I'm like, I've been getting frustrated. There's a lot of echoes, like stuff I'm finding out. Your tenses, you got to work on your tenses, Ebony.
Yeah.
And then I switched from third person to first person in the book.
Okay.
And so that's completely different too, as well.
Yeah, because with you switch from third to first.
Yes.
Yep, that's challenging. Your character must be in every single scene of the book. Every single scene, unless it's, some a backflash where it's being relayed to her after the fact or something like that. That can be difficult. So you want your experience. You don't want that type of stress with your experience, and really trying to do this editing and get it out there just so it can hit a table at an event. If I was your literary consultant, I would be totally against that. You have to do this for your audience. This is for your audience. This is not about trying to make an event on time. You can still set up at the event and you can still pre-sale your book. And that event can be the actual book cover reveal.
That's actually a great idea. That's a really great idea. I actually love that idea. Now that you said that, because yeah.
Yep. And the banner that's going to be your book cover, whatever. Make sure you have, maybe little tabletops, but the banner that you're going to use, that you'll probably use at all of your book signings, so have your cover, have your, just a really, really mini sales sheet, QR code, order here, and the QR code can take them to the pre-order page. They can still order. Most people don't even carry cash anyway.
Right, because I don't.
Right. So put your QR code. You could still talk that book up. You can even take the cover and you can go to Office Max or whatever, and you can get copies of the cover printed up and you can autograph those. That way, when people order the digital version, they'll still have your autograph. I used to always get book covers printed of my books anyway, especially when ebooks came out. That way, when people will one click right in front of me, I would make them do that one click. Let me see your receipt. When they would one click, I would give them an autographed copy of my book cover. So that way, when people's book is delivered to them, they can take your, autograph cover. Don't, just do a size under what the size of the book is. And that way they can slip it in. They can use it as a bookmark or whatever, but get your cover printed, your cover only, and autograph them. Have your Sharpies and autograph them at the event.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, the anthology book will be there too, so I'll have that. And my body butters. So
yeah, so come on. Yeah, and you can even come up with an idea.
I was thinking about doing like some t-shirts too. But it's funny because I was looking at like some of our old emails and I sent you some t-shirt ideas I had, and I completely forgot that I sent that I had those ideas. And I was like, oh, maybe I should reach out to someone to get some affirmation shirts like I was going to do before.
And think of something. So the author that we work with at P2P Press is the traditional publishing imprint of Path to Publishing. And her book, The Price We Pay, you know how I am. I don't let my authors do book signings and author readings. We create experiences, events. You better have a title on that. You got to put a name on it or something. So hers is the Girls Like Me tour, because she wrote her book for girls like me. So it's the hashtag Girls Like Me tour. Now, she also, the same way you have your body butter line, she has a cosmetic line. And it's a literary thing, because you know, I always tell people, make stuff cohesive. If you're going to sell makeup and you're going to sell books, marry it. How is it cohesive? So she has different sets. So she may have like the audio book palette, and it may be different palettes of eyeshadows. She may have, you know, the blush library or something. So all of her compacts resemble something literary related. So whether it's audio book, digital, library. And so she offers a Beauty and the Book box. Beauty and the Book box is what she offers. We sell it on Amazon, everything. We sell it in the TikTok shops. We sell it on Walmart.com. So she married those two. So when you think of something, how can you marry your body butter to your book and offer a package? You can even offer a package of the event that includes the cost of the book, but they know that the book will be shipped to them later.
Okay.
You know,
yeah,
something like that. Next Mother's Day, of course, you're going to start offering the Mother's Day box with your book, you know.
Yes, because I'm gonna actually eventually get into candles.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be something I can offer.
Yeah.
Once I learn it, I'm give me a moment to get it together.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, think about that. Really think about that, and think about, do you want to, because you know, do you want to just hurry up and get your book out there? Because that's basically what you'll be doing. Take your time through the editing process, especially if your editor is working on their own book release. Like, come on.
It's because she's been working on it with me for like a year and a half, and I felt bad because it was kind of my fault too. But she has other stuff going on as well with her books as well and other clients. So, but
yeah,
I've been holding her up. So
yeah.
like the past, like, you know, since like October, I've really been on the book thing. Like I first signed up, I kind of moved kind of slowly, and then I fell off for a little bit. And then I'm like, okay, I got to get this done, because I can't move past anything until I get this book done and get it done right. And I had to get over everything that I did. Like I thought I was doing everything right. Like I did a vendor event before the book came out without the book there, and sold some books. And so like,
you know how to do it. Yeah,
I know how to do it. It's just that I had to get over, like, you know, feeling traumatized about, I don't want the same thing to happen, even though I know the same thing's not going to happen. I just, you know, like, I'm like, I went through all these steps, and then this is what happened.
Yeah. And you still want to, okay, let me ask you this. Did you, before you gave it to your editor, or even before you approve, like here, what we do with Path to Publishing, before we got a sign off sheet. So once we've edited your book, you have to sign off on it that you've approved it. And one of the things we ask is, did you send this to beta readers? Before, we try to get you to do it before you work with us. But definitely before that last round, because our final round of editing is based on the page count of the book. Because some people can come to us with a 150-page book, but then we find so many opportunities in the story, or ways they need to develop, or gaps or holes, and they have to insert entire chapters. So by the time we're done with it, the book could end up being 250 pages. So their final payment is based on the final page count of the book. But prior to them even giving us the book, we say, hey, have you gone through your rounds of beta readers? Do not give us this book to edit. If you have not gone, because what's going to happen is now you're going to let all your friends and family read it, especially when things are sometimes based on your life. And then they'll come back and go, my mom told me this was wrong and and we like, okay, but it's going to cost you because now we have to do insert and we have to edit this. So we always try to get them to have their beta readers read it before we take it on. And then right before they approve our last round of content, because that has happened before where they got some facts wrong. Or we tell our authors to have reading parties. You know how musicians do listening parties?
Mm-hmm.
We have our authors do reading parties. So you invite all your peoples over. It could be a slumber party. They can really spend a night or not. But it's like almost like a little sleepover, and it's a reading party. And everybody's going to take turns reading a chapter and giving feedback. And you're going to read and you're going to see if you're going to get the reactions. Do they laugh where you want them to laugh? Do they gasp where you want them to gasp? Do they cry where you want them to cry? Do they hit the table where you want them to hit the table? All of that, you get to see that in live time when you have those reading parties. And so we always suggest that they have those reading parties and do the beta readers, because editing's subjective. Editing is subjective. You can pass a book around to 10 editors. And even though 9 editors before that 10th editors has seen that book, the 10th editor is going to find something. Now, at some point, you got to say, okay, I'm okay with this book and I have peace with this book. But did you give your target audience an opportunity to give you feedback on that? The best way to know that you're writing a book that people want to read is to let them read it before you publish it.
Okay. All right. So let me go ahead and put some notes in my phone real fast because I didn't bring pen and paper. I don't know why I didn't bring pen and paper just
you
now.
know how we do it at Path to Publishing.
I know
some other stuff. We're not just about editing your book. We're going to educate you. You're going to get some training. You're going to get some coaching. You're going to get some consulting. We going in.
And see, that's what I was thinking, that I was going to need better beta readers. But I'm like, well, if the book is supposed to come out next month, then how am I going to have beta readers if the book is supposed to be coming out? But also, like you're saying, I'm rushing the job, and I don't really ultimately want to rush the job because I want to make sure that it's done right. And the problem I had last time is I did not let anybody read my book except for the editors. I had one beta reader, but I didn't have a very good experience with the beta reader.
Now think back to the conference. No, go ahead.
It kind of like deterred me, and they gave me good information. It was just how they delivered it, because they lost all the notes they made on the book. And so then they just gave me like quick couple things. They just told me quick, I lost the notes. And so they just told me 2 things versus really giving me the actual beta review that I was waiting for. And so it kind of it discouraged me from doing it.
Yeah. Now think back to the conference curriculum. Inside the conference curriculum, I have a cheat sheet, exactly what you want from your beta reader. Don't just let your beta reader give you what they want to give you. In that conference curriculum, there is a cheat sheet. This is what you want from your beta reader. These are the things. Create your own sheet to give them to complete. And so go back to your conference curriculum, and there's a cheat sheet in there, and use that for your beta readers. You don't just give them their book and they tell you they're a beta reader and they're going to give you some feedback. No, this is what a consumer review is. This is what a beta reader review is. This is what I want. Type it yourself, send it to them.
Okay.
This is what I want. You want scoring on a scale of 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, wherever it is, all of that. So go back to your conference curriculum and use that cheat sheet and ask those questions to your beta reader.
Okay.
And so I know you wanted the release date to be June, but maybe that can be your cover reveal date.
Yeah.
And give you some time to beta, you'll have your beta readers share blurbs, share quotes, just really drum up the interest, build your email list. So one of the things our authors did to build her newsletter list, and she kind of she bounced this ideal off of what I did. I had a book club be the beta readers of her book. So we got galleys printed. And I had a book club be the book reviewers. And they had an entire book club meeting with her galley. And at the book club meeting, I hosted it. I had a chef cook all the dishes that were in the book because, it's soul food. So there's a lot of food in the book representing certain things. And so I had a chef cook all of the dishes that were cooked or mentioned in the book. And that was the spread. And so what the author did is she created a companion cookbook of recipes, just a few of the recipes with the pictures and the images and all of that. And she used that as a lead magnet for people to sign up to her email list. So
I've been trying to think of some lead magnets.
Yeah.
Magnets I was like, well, should I share the first chapter or should I I don't know, do a newsletter?
Think of something creative. Think of some type of creative. Think outside the book. Think outside the box. Really sit back and think about it. Look at what you have. Always say, use what's in your hand. Well, I don't always say, that's always the message the Holy Spirit gives me. Use what's in your hand. Use what's in your hand. Sometimes that's me walking around, taking inventory, going to my garage, going to my warehouse, using stuff that I already have, going on my computer. What is it that I already have? What can I build out? Is there some type of worksheet? So put that, as a note of something to do. What type of lead magnet can I create for this book? So now we're going to go into a discussion about the book. And this may be able to help you put together some type of lead magnet, some type of worksheet, some type of mini challenge, an email challenge, a 3-day challenge, a self-care challenge, whatever. So let's talk it out. So tell me the title of your book, who you are, and what the book is about.
Here we go. Longing for More. My name is Ebony Little. My book is about a fashion designer who I'm really bad at this.
Okay, so right off the bat, I already know what your lead magnet could be. Some type of fashion tips. And you might want to pull Stephanie M. Bridges in to help you with that. Stephanie R. Bridges. I'm sorry, my middle initial M. Brandy's middle initial M. Stephanie R. Bridges. You may want to bring her in to help you, or to look at it or to give you feedback. Because I always tell Stephanie R. Bridges, you are more than a fashion stylist. You are a brand stylist. Like, she styles me according to my brand. And I share so much about who I am with her that she's able to know what a piece is going to make me feel like, not just look like. But Stephanie, for me anyway, this is just my opinion, this is my experience with Stephanie, is she works me in styling me from the inside out.
Okay.
Like, we work from the inside out. sizes, all of that comes last. Like, we talk about me first. We talk about what I like, how do certain things make me feel, what am I uncomfortable in, to the point where she will send me a piece that she knows I'm going to be uncomfortable in, so that I can get out of that, zone of just being in things I'm comfortable in. Just being, you can't just always be in something you're comfortable in. And I'm not talking about size. We want to be comfortable in the size, but I'm just talking about, my thing was, I would never wear skinny heels because of my weight. I always had this vision, that the heel was going to break because of my weight, or I weighed too much for those skinny high heels. And so that was just always something I was not going to do. Was not going to do skinny high heel. I was not going to do skinny high heels. I was not going to do it. Very uncomfortable. And just, certain things, some people don't want to show their arm, or so she would always throw in this little piece that would just be so beautiful that it forced me. I wanted to get out of my comfort zones. And so I'm talking about tips like that. I'm not, I'm talking about tips like that I would share with Stephanie. When you go in places and you're looking for pieces, for me, what I want is the ugliest thing on the rack that none of your clients would want. I want that thing because guess what? We see that hideous thing that's on the rack. It stands out. It's like, who made this and who thought that was cute? Like, why? I was like, that's what I want. That's what I want. The ugliest thing on the rack, or the most less fashionable thing, or that the world would consider to be the least fashionable. Like, who would he? That's what I want. It stands out on the rack, which means when I walk in the room, what? I want it. And I feel good in it because I know all eyes on me. Like, whoo, she's bold. She's confident. She's courageous to wear that. And so with you just saying that, I can already see a lead magnet. I can already see a theme.
I have an idea for my book, for like my first like book signing thing. It's a big idea though.
Okay, so we do unicorns. What?
So I want to do a fashion show for it. I think that would be a good thing. And then I want Italian food to be served there, because the love interest, he has an Italian restaurant.
Yeah. And that's your thing. That is your thing. And that's what you're going to do, a challenge to book clubs. And you're going to tell book clubs, have your Italian thing, set it up, the checkered tablecloths, all of that. Send me pics, hashtag me. Really sit back and think about this stuff. The world will be your marketing team. They will be your sales force if you work this right. You're going to have book clubs having their Italian things, sending you pics, hashtagging, posting up. You can't pay for that type of marketing and sales force.
Okay.
So you do it, show your examples, your pictures, with your release. Definitely, have the thing, have the Italian thing, have the fashion show. I mean, you don't got to just do something once. You could hop to another city and do something. You can hop to another side of town and do something. Like here in Vegas, good grief. It's 30, 40 miles to the next city and stuff. So if I do something in Henderson, 9 times out of the 10, the people in North Las Vegas aren't coming. So I'm going to go do it again in North Las Vegas. Summerlin's not coming to North Las Vegas or Henderson. So I'm going to go do it in Summerlin. So I can have my big ideas all over the valley. You can have your big ideas all over the city, or do one in Cincinnati and Cleveland, Columbus. People will even travel. People from Columbus. I would do stuff in Cincinnati, and people from Columbus would show up in Cincinnati.
Okay.
So a fashion show was great. Think about collaborations. connections, who could you collaborate with and connect with that makes it make sense and makes it make sense? Stephanie R. Bridges is into fashion. Think about collaborating, connecting, but make sure you vet whoever you're going to collaborate with. Look at their history. When they put stuff on the calendar, do they see it through or do they cancel? Do they go hard in the paint to make sure that the word gets out? Or are they going to just rely on your fan base to do all the work and then they just show up? Are they going to rely on you and your team to do all the work and then they just show up?
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you are partnering with the right people. But don't try to do it by yourself. There's too many other people you could connect with and tap into the different resources. So definitely, I could see those as two different things. I see the Italian thing, and I would definitely reserve that for a book to host a book clubs. I would definitely put an event where I'm hosting book clubs. You know, Reading with Soap will have your back.
Yes, since they did the first time.
Yes, you already know they would have your back, and you could even host it and make sure you have your teams or whoever getting footage. You know, get some pictures, get some recordings, and so that you can share that and again challenge other book clubs to have the Italian theme and to post and give them all of 2025 or the rest of 2024 whenever you plan on launching this challenge. And they have I would say give them 3 to 6 months to be able to schedule it in. And over the a lot of book clubs, though, like I said, they will already have their books picked out for the year. That's the reason why I said 2025, because most book clubs, they already have all their books for the year. So if you do it something, make that challenge for like 2025 and do that.
I'm gonna have to tap into North Carolina market because I'm moving to Raleigh next year.
Are you? What's taking you there?
I love North Carolina. Every time I go there, I just feel at home. Like I just feel like it's my home. Like I need to be there. And I've been trying to find the right city to like move to. And I've pinpointed to Raleigh. I think it's really nice there.
When did you visit that city?
I haven't visited Raleigh yet though.
Okay.
Online, but I've been to other cities in North Carolina, and every time I go to North Carolina, I just feel like at peace.
Okay, that's good.
And I've been wanting to move to North Carolina like forever.
Yeah.
And I've only been here so long because I was supposed to be here to get, to get to my writing and get my connections that I have made since I've been here. But I ultimately always wanted to live in North Carolina. Like I originally wanted to move to North Carolina to open up a bed and breakfast. I really did.
Yeah. But well, that you'll have a book, bed, and breakfast.
That's what I thought about. Like,
book, bed, breakfast, and body butter, baby.
Hey. Autumn bees.
Hey, that's what it is. But that's good. It is funny, and that's why when we said with our new branch of business, it was just like path to connections. That it has to be, because that's what we've always been about, just the connections. And when you look at your connections, I think you connected with Stephanie first, and then me, and then Miss Colette. When you really look at it, it's like,
yeah,
oh my goodness.
Like Stephanie, I went to the book fair as a travel agent. And then I was like, oh my God, let me go ahead. I'm gonna write my book. I met Miss Colette there. I met Danielle there. I met Whitney there. I met like everybody from the book club. And then Danielle had her writing class that she had. And then I found out about your conference, and they talked about so much that I'm like, oh my God, I gotta go to this conference. So then I went to the conference, and then I'm meeting all the Pathfinders, and now I'm a Pathfinder, and I'm meeting all. So it's like there was a reason why that I had to move back to Ohio, because my plan was not to move back to Ohio. I moved to Georgia for a year. It just didn't work out money wise and stuff. And I'm like, okay. A friend at the time, she was like, look, if money is like really that bad, I would move back so fast. And I'm like, you know what? You were so right. Because let me go home, because I know I have resources there. I moved to a really small town. They didn't have the resources that we have here. So I moved back here. It was supposed to be temporary. It was always supposed to be. I was supposed to move to North Carolina, always. In fact, I was supposed to move to North Carolina or South Carolina, but then I moved to Georgia instead because my kids were small and I didn't want to like move somewhere by myself, and they couldn't watch themselves. So
Yeah.
so I moved to Georgia, but then I moved back here, and then I ended up meeting everybody. Like I wrote my book. I started the path of doing entrepreneurial stuff, stuff that I would have never did if I had stayed in Georgia. Like I was trying to get to the point of writing and stuff, but I was also not connecting with other people who wrote. And so like I needed to learn how to write. Like you can sit down and write, but you have to actually know how to write well sometimes, like so it can come out right, which is what I needed in the first place. So now my kids are, my son is graduating this week. And then so I'll be driving to Illinois and he'll be coming back here. And then my other son, he's in Job Corps and he will be finishing up with that by the end of the summer. And then I just have the two younger ones, and one, he's about to start high school next year. And I want to make sure that he is in high school there. I don't want to have to leave in the middle of his high school years.
Yeah.
So, and then it might give me an opportunity to get out of my introvert ways and like meet other people too, because I'm going to a city that I don't know anybody at.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It's scary, exciting.
Yeah, that's good. But you already know the power of connections. You already know the power of connections. So I'm excited for you. Now, it sounds like this story was in your spirit for a very long time. How long was it in your spirit? Like what made this particular story?
I wanted to write about someone who had Tourette syndrome like myself.
Okay.
But I wanted to write it like in a form, like, I wanted to write it about someone who has my form of like, my actual type of Tourette syndrome, because when people think about it, they think about the extreme cases. So my character Moore in the book, she has Tourette syndrome, which has caused a lot of self-esteem issues, and not really love herself, and she doesn't talk to her family or anything about it. So she ends up in a pip situation because she's thinking this guy that she loves her. And I've been in a similar situation myself as well. So I wanted to tell my story, but I didn't want to like tell all of my story, like, because there's some stuff you want to keep to yourself no matter what. It's okay for me to recognize that I've been through stuff, but some stuff, I feel like it's okay to keep to myself. And there's other stuff I do want to tell that I feel like will help other people.
Yeah, that's what I did with my title, I Ain't Me No More. It's an autobiographical novel. There was some stuff that I was led to share because you got to have hush mouth grace sometimes. It's not always about telling everything, which I guess it can't be a tell all book. But so I definitely understand that. And it could be future books to share those parts as you go along your journey that you do feel safe sharing, that you do see will help other people. So you said it's a different form of Tourette syndrome. Tell me, what type of Tourette syndrome does the character have, or that you have?
Well, she has tics, really. Like I just have tics. Like just different things that I do, like whether I'm flexing my hands or my arms, or sometimes it's my breathing. like I'm conscious of my breathing, and then next thing you know, I'm breathing like super crazy, and I can't stop myself from breathing hard. It's weird stuff that happens at different times, and most of the time is when I'm highly stressed, like highly stressed or upset. That's usually, or nervous. That's when I really have like my tics. And I'm not on medication. I've never been on medication. My mom told me that at one point they wanted to hypnotize me when I was younger, but I don't know. She said, no, you're not doing that. So that was the only thing that the last thing I've heard my mom even bring up about it. And so I just never talked about it. And so she's never talked about it. But she never knew I was still having issues with it too at the same time, because I never talked about it. Because I'm like, okay, I've just been living with this. And for the longest, I couldn't talk to people about it because I was embarrassed. I used to make a noise in middle school or in high school, and it was loud, and I got teased for it. So I don't talk about it because I don't like to bring attention to something. And that's why it took me so long to actually talk about it, because it was like bringing unwanted attention to myself.
Mm-hmm. So you got diagnosed as a child?
Yeah, when I was in middle school, I started making a noise that only my grandfather could hear at first. And me and my mom was like, what are you talking about? He's like, you're making a noise. I'm like, no. And then eventually we started recognizing, we started hearing the noise. And then it's like, I couldn't stop it. It's like trying to stop yourself from breathing. That's how all the tics are, really. It's like trying to stop breathing, and you hold it in as long as possible. And then when you let go, it's like you let out a whole bunch. You could just keep on breathing hard and letting out a bunch of breath. And that's how it would feel whenever I would try to stop myself from ticking. And I would be in class, and then all the kids would hear. And then I'm already an introvert. So, so like to have the kids hear me make this noise, and I already don't like to bring attention to myself, it caused me to like shut down and not really want to talk about it. I tried to avoid it. I didn't really talk about it. And then I would tell everybody, like, did anybody notice? They'd be like, what are you doing? I'd be like, well, you know, you got to really pay attention to me, like, to know. I'm not just going to tell you like, hey, my name is Ebony, I have Tourette syndrome. I might actually start doing that, but but
so you can feel free.
Yeah, because Tourette syndrome awareness is actually starts on the 15th. It's a whole month from May 15th to June 15th. So I'm actually about to make some posts about it.
Okay.
But before, I wouldn't even talk about it. Like, it was an embarrassment. Like, I have this flaw. Like, I'm not perfect, even though we're not perfect. But nobody's perfect. But it's this big imperfection I have in myself. And so I wanted to create a character that kind of goes through the same thing I'm going through, but she's like my alter ego on how she handles it. And then she named her disorder Ready. So it's like her friend.
It's her frenemy?
Yes.
Okay, so I think a call for readers for people suffering from that form would be great to see if they can see themselves in the book. Because when we talk about diversity, when we talk about DEI, and we talk about representation and voices, it's not always about black and white and race. It's about this right here. And so maybe reach out to some organizations, some support groups, and really partner with them on sharing this message that you have. I would definitely reach out and partner and connect. Keep using that word, connections. I've realized, you know, that's so valuable. It's so valuable. And before we even started Path to Connections, Path to Publishing, the Pathfinders, we stay connected. Like, it's just really supporting each other. But there's such a deeper message in your book that I really would suggest that you tap into. our books, whether it doesn't matter what category they're in, romance, humor, horror, helping people get over fear. You never know the purpose of something. Everybody's story has a purpose. And if our goal is to touch lives, change, alter lives, even save lives, we really want it to reach as many people of the intended audience that it can. And so if you can partner with these organizations, these platforms who already have that audience in place who needs to hear your main character's message. What's your main character's name?
More.
What's her last name?
Young.
More Young. Oh, I love that. I love that. And so there's so many words that you can use to get, the word out so that more people know about, the hashtag more campaign, really sit and think and pray and hear what the Holy Spirit gives you with this message. And really think about that. And again, connect. You remember how with Danielle's book, how she partnered with, is it CAS? Is that what it's called there in Columbus?
I know what you're talking about. It's CASA or K. It's CO. I know what you're talking about though.
Yes, how she partnered with them because the character in her book, which her book is an autobiographical novel, dealt with, child abuse. And I believe I'm here in Vegas and I can't really remember the name of the organization, but I know it has something to do with foster children.
Children that have been abused,
Yes. So she partnered with them. I remember they were even at her book launch. They had a table at her book launch, and some of the proceeds of her book went to them. So start doing your due diligence and researching and partnering and showing up and sharing and talking so that they know there's more people out there dealing with what they're dealing with, and then they can see themselves in more. Okay. So how does it show up in Moore's life in the book?
Well, she's going through a lot of she's going through a lot of stress because she was pimped out when she was 17, and then she ran off and moved to Atlanta to get away from her pimp. And that's when she became went to school for fashion, became a fashion designer. But it's one of those things that it's more like she hides the fact that she got pimped out more than the Tourette's part. And then so it comes out because Lamont tracks her down, which is her ex-pimp. He tracks her down in Atlanta, and he's trying to blackmail her. So she's dealing with that. She just got a major contract with TVC network to design pieces for shows on that network. Plus she's trying to get ready for a fashion show. She moved her parents to Atlanta to be closer to them, but she doesn't spend time with her parents like she should, because her focus has been on her fashion line. So it all comes out a lot, and then she's she doesn't really have love. She's going through a birthday and she's turning 33. She doesn't have a love in her life or kids. And she's like, I don't, I haven't met that person, and I should be married and have kids. I don't want to wait till I'm old to travel with someone. So when she meets Marigo, who is her love interest, at a coffee shop, he's all in immediately, but he's also going through his own thing with he's a divorcee, and he has this restaurant, and then he has a 16-year-old daughter who is going through that teenage stage. So So it's like a lot of things, a lot of different things is happening,
Mhm.
and ready is ready to they're ready to come out. Ready
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
to take over whenever you need me to. She like ready, not now, not now, ready.
So her ready is like Beyonce Sasha Fierce, only without all of the spiritual elements to it, right?
Right. Except for except for ready, she doesn't want ready to be out though.
Ever,
Ever.
ever.
So ready just be sitting there like, all right, I'm ready, I'm ready to take over whenever you need me.
And does she show up?
Ready does show up. Especially when like everything like crashed on her. She's dealing with, like, and then she has a driver who actually drove to Atlanta with her, and he was like a guy that lived in the neighborhood. He's like a best friend. So, but he's her driver slash like bodyguard type thing. And then he ends up getting hurt. And so like
Hmm.
she can't rely on him, or she can't fall back on him for help because he's in the hospital. And then she has
Hmm.
Lamont trying to get this money from her. And she made a decision with her driver that backfired.
Hmm. Now, when I was writing my autobiographical novel, at that time, I was working for Carl Weber's imprint, Urban Books, where the books were distributed by Kensington. I'd be in New York 2, 3 times a year or whatever at the sales conferences, pitching my author's books. That's actually how I met Miss Colette. She was one of the authors on the imprints at one time. And
Mhm.
so I would be editing, doing content developmental editing. I was only the content developmental editor. I am not a copy editor. The
Mhm.
grammar, all of that stuff. So I was the content editor, and I could work on the author's books. I could put 3 books a year out in my series, my New Day Diva series. I could put out 3 books a year. I could even put out a short story or ghost write a short story. I was doing so much. But then when it came to writing my autobiographical novel, it took me like 4 years. And the book was called I Ain't Me No More. And so I asked God, I was like, God, with any other book, I'm putting out 3. Any other book in this series, I'm putting out 3 a year. I'm working on the author's books. We launching 2 on the line. I'm ghostwriting project. It's just like boom, 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 boom. And it's 4 years getting this one book out. And he said, what's the title of your book? I Ain't Me No More. It's an autobiographical novel. I'm sharing, parts of my life and things I want people to take away from it, blah, 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 XYZ. And he said, but you're still you. So what we're not going to do is put a book out called I Ain't Me No More, but you're still you. It's almost like how the messages were the messenger first. And it was when I start working with my developmental editors where they were seeing parts. It was like, this is for you. This is for you. You done now? This is you justifying XYZ. Just really showing me this feels more like a complaint than a message you're trying to deliver. This feels more like you whining and complaining than really trying to relay a message, and you justifying your actions based on somebody else's actions. And long story short, the book was about 125,000 words. But by the time I did already releasing and went through the deliverance and the healing I needed to go through in crafting the book, and for it to mirror my life and be authentic and true, so that when I go before the people, I'm very transparent. There's no imposter syndrome. I'm not pretending to be a me. I am me. And so really getting past that until I could say, I ain't me no more. I'm not this person. I did learn from that. If I had to go back and do this again, this is what I would do. That's what I do. Well, there could be I had a reason for this and I had a reason for that. So I say all this to say, do you think that the delay in getting to this point of your book where it's in its final stages had anything to do with you and the story and the message you wanted to be people to walk away with really being that authentic message that you live by?
It was more like I disconnected from my story. Like I disconnected to where like Miss Collect was able to, she was able to connect more with my story and tell me more about my story than I could tell her about my story, because I was all over the place, like literally all over the place on how I wanted to write the story. And some of the stuff, a lot of the stuff did not make sense. I did a Pantser book that didn't make sense. I should have sat down and really mapped it out. And I should have like got advice on like, okay, so does this make sense if I do this, or and just like having like the right people to be able to go to and be like, okay, does this make sense to you? So it was like, it was me disconnecting and then not knowing what to write and getting intimidated. And I did have imposter syndrome, and I'm going to all these classes, like all these different publishing and writing classes. But I really needed like an actual writing class without actually going to college, because I don't want no more student loans. so I was like, I know I'm not writing it right. Like, what am I doing wrong? Or I need like guidance on how to
writers
get
groups. Yes, yeah. Writers groups are amazing source.
And then it's like, then I'm really shy about reading any of my work in front of other people too, because I'm like, okay, well, their stuff sounded so much greater than mine. Like mine sounds like a third grade kid wrote this. And maybe that's just the way I write. So I make it simple. I'm like, well, I gotta have all these English words that I don't even use in my regular life in this book.
Yeah.
But not necessarily I don't.
No, you don't.
Because then that's not authentic me, because I don't really talk like that, So I had to get over myself. It did take me a long time to write this book. If I think about it, I joined Stephanie, the Bridges Book Club, in 2019. And in April 2019 is when she had her book fair. And then that's when I started thinking about what my story was going to be. Where it got to, like, it was just more like me writing down, and like, I didn't know which direction I was going to go. I didn't know how it was going to end. I just knew that it was more. I don't even know how I came up with that name. I think maybe it was just, I was trying to think of a different name, and then I don't know how I came to More. But I'm like, well, More doesn't necessarily have to be a last name. Some people use last names as a first names. I feel like that's a good, name. Yeah. So, and then I came up with her name, and like, kind of like, she's this fashion designer. And then I started thinking about my experiences that happened to me when I was younger. And I wanted to write about that, because for the longest, I was mad at myself because I went through it. And it wasn't really a pimp situation per se. I actually made it that in the story. It was more like I had a guy that I was my first, and I didn't know how guys were. And he used me, and I didn't realize it. But all I know is that I was so infatuated with him. I thought he was the bomb. I thought he was like the one, no matter how that situation was. I go back and look at it now, I'm like, okay, that definitely wasn't it. Like, at all. And so I thought that when he asked me, that I was doing something for him because he wanted me to do it. And I was like, well, if I say no, he's not gonna want to be with me anymore. So then I'll be by myself, because I think my biggest fear is being by myself. And so I'm like, okay, I'll be alone, by myself, and everybody has somebody, but I don't have anybody.
Yeah.
And so that's how and then so I started writing about that experience. But then the first book I had wrote a lot of scenes in the first book that actually happened, but more of a pimp situation. Versus now I've made it more pimp situation, and I took a lot of stuff out, like, because I exploded the room a lot. Miss Colette, I exploded the room a lot. I put a lot of details in a book that maybe it should have been part of, like, I can't think of the name of it. Not the rough draft. Why can't I think of the name of it?
Outline.
Yes, outline. It should have been part of the outline, like, so I know what the backstory was. But
Yes.
instead, it was part of the book, because I'm like, okay, this is cool. But I know now I didn't have developmental editors, so that makes sense why they would think that it was okay. It could have been a good hood book, it could have been a good urban book, maybe. Those urban books, they be all over the place. The bad ones.
Yeah. I and just to go back and circle something, there's a difference, and you have to be able to marry the two, because that's something at Path to Publishing, hence the name. For the first few years, that's all we were about. We were about teaching the publishing process. Once you had your book, most people, they've had this beautiful book. Now they are like, manuscript rather, now what? So we were the answer to now what, now that I have this book. But we've really been able to pinpoint over the years the struggle that people even have getting to the publishing process. And hearing you talk, I hear that struggle. And so that's what we ended up doing. We ended up adding to our services book coaches, but not just regular book coaches, some licensed therapists, counselors. Because a lot of times when people are writing their books, even not necessarily, a memoir or autobiography, but even, fiction, we put so many parts of our lives into that you open some can of worms, or you open some wounds that your average book coach can't work with, and even our editors, they know, wait a minute, I'm just an editor. There's some healing that needs to take place here. There's some deliverance that needs to take place there. So we do have those in place now at Path to Publishing. We have our writing coaches. We have our writing accountability coaches, not necessarily to teach you how to write per se. We do have coaches that help you, be a better writer, but accountability to be able to sit down and write. But more importantly, what we realize is that it's not even necessarily you need to learn how to write. You need to learn how to tell your story. You could be a great writer, but not a great storyteller. So we really incorporated that storytelling experts. It can be written to perfection, but is it a great story, a well-told story? Because a well-told story is a memorable story. So it does go to being a better writer. It makes the process much easier. But you don't have to be a writer to be the author of your story. You can brain dump to get it out, to get that healing, to get that deliverance, to just get the story out, the intricate pieces out. And then, like you said, work with professionals to be able to craft and shape it. And that takes someone to assist you with storytelling and really telling your story and having both the confidence and the courage. Because even writing classes, and the best writing instructors in the world and the best editors in the world aren't always equipped, gifted, or anointed to really get to the core and the heart of your story and storytelling, and make sure you're comfortable with that. And it sounds like you really had to get to a place where I feel safe. I know what I feel safe telling, and I know how I want to tell it. Get past commas and punctuations, get past that, but really getting to the core, the heart of yourself, to get to the heart of your story so that your story can get to the heart of your readers. And so that sounds like the point that you see and you understand and you're realizing, which is why I made the suggestion. Do this for your readers, you know, and make sure you're putting your heart into every piece of this, and the time that it takes. But I'm so proud of you. You have, I see why you're excited. You have come a long way to have been working on this process since 2019. Wow. Wow, it is 2024.
Right.
2024.
And there were breaks I took. So it wasn't like consistently working on it. Like even when I went to Jamaica, I wasn't working on it actively like I should have. I had started outlining a new book, and I knew I was going to edit it. Actually, it was when I went to Jamaica, it was when I had already reached out to you and I was going to start making payments on it. And then I went to Jamaica, and then we started working on the anthology book. And so then I put the other book I was thinking about on the back burner. And then I went on the cruise for the writing cruise too. And then meantime, by that time I had already started, working with Miss Colette, but I hadn't done anything still. So, and we actually sat in her room and discussed my book one day, how, and I still wasn't connected with my story then. Still, like I was still like, Miss Olivia Gaines, she said to me, she was like, Ebony, when are you going to forgive yourself for not writing sooner? And I was like, I did not realize I was punishing myself all this time, because first I punished myself for not writing. I've been writing since middle school, so I didn't write a book sooner. I didn't come out with a book in my 20s or in my 30s. Came out with a book right when I was about to hit 40. And now I'm 42 now, and I'm about to do the same book all over again. But I couldn't move past anything. Like I have a whole outline written for 2 other books, and I cannot write them until I get this done in particular. Like it has to be done. It has to be done correctly, because then I'm only going to be remembered by having this. It's a good story, the first one. It just wasn't written well.
Yes.
If it was written well, then the story would have came out right. This time, it's way better.
Okay.
Way better. I still just haven't came up with my elevator pitch. So
you don't necessarily have to have an elevator pitch. When I asked you what the book was about, you froze up. But then when I asked you about it and I did this deliberately in conversation, you told me what the book was about without stuttering. You'll watch the replay of this video and you will see. I deliberately did that because I wanted to hear from your heart, not your head. When I asked you about the book, you was in pitch mode. Pitch comes from your head. No shade to all the pitch coaches, y'all the bomb. But at Path to Publishing, we start with your heart. We start with the story behind the pitch. the story behind the pitch. And that story comes from your heart, and you don't have to remember it. You don't have to practice it.
Yeah, the only thing I remember is that it's a fashion designer and her love interest is as a
You're trying to memorize the pitch, but I didn't want to pitch. I wanted to hear from your heart. And see, that's the difference between, a lot of people, they always ask when, myself or enter the trainers or the coaches or consultants at Path to Publishing, if we're ever at conferences, well, with AI, are you all nervous about AI taking your jobs? Because you're writers, you're copywriters, you ghost writers, you help people. I was like, AI can capture your voice, not your heart. We capture your heart. So I didn't want to hear your pitch. I wanted to hear from your heart, which is what you gave me. And you'll see when you watch this back.
Okay. All right.
Pitch comes from your head. Your story comes from your heart. And at Path to Publishing, at Path to Connections, we work with storytelling, your story. Because as an author, as a business owner, period, any business owner, any, area of business, industry of business, your first product should be your story, and your first marketing asset should be your story. And what you gave me was your story, the story behind the story in the book. And that's where the connection is made with your audience. That's where the connection is made. Your pitch, cool. Like I said, pictures are great. Amazing pitch classes and pitch coaches. But we deal with the story that comes from the heart. The pitch comes from the head. The story comes from the heart. Stay in your heart.
Okay.
Stay in your heart.
I just got to remember that the next time someone asks me, what's my story about? What's my book about?
Stay in your heart. And if you gotta, I know everybody wants stuff quick, fast, in a hurry, and the elevator ride is only so long. But when you come from your heart, people want to stay in that elevator with you. People want to get off on your floor so that they can stay connected and keep hearing.
Okay.
You just got to discern the time, the place. Because like I said, an elevator pitch, honey, if you want the penthouse floor, I got something different for you. If we got in the lobby going to floor 3, but if we in the lobby going to the penthouse, I got something different for you. But I want you to get off on my floor, or I want you to not even get on the elevator. I want you to stay right here in this lobby with me. I want you to hit emergency stop. I got to hear this. When you connect and speak from your heart, you get a different result. You get a different result. And people know it, and people notice it. People notice it. But there's a time and a place for pitches, and you should be able to have your quick, fast, in a hurry pitch. But you got to go from your heart first. Your pitch should be a result. The pitch that's in your head should be a result of a synopsis of what's in your heart.
Okay. An
excerpt of what's in your heart. So I know we're a little bit over time, but I know you switched up the book from the first version you wrote. Has the message changed versus what you wanted when the reader closed the book, how you wanted them to feel, what message you wanted them to have in their heart, what takeaway? Did that change from the first book to now this second revised version coming out?
Well, I definitely wanted it to be happily ever after, book. I did want, it's the same message regarding her dealing with just really learning how to affirm herself. In the first one, it was like a whole other book I put in there with like affirmations and stuff, and it was just like too much.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I had a small part in there where she was having a meltdown because Lamont confronted her in the coffee shop after she's met this guy. And she's in her office trying to get herself together because she has this very important meeting that she has to get to. And nobody knows about the past life with her pimp except for her driver.
Mm-hmm.
Not even her parents, her brother, nobody knows, just him. So she's trying to get herself together. So she speaks affirmations to herself. In the first book, she had a best friend that really didn't even need to be in the story at all because she was part of the story. So she was giving her the affirmations, and she gave her this affirmation book in the first book. This time, like, it's more like this is how she controls ready is by affirming herself. Like, I'm worthy. I got this, you know, you've come along very far. Like, don't let this take you back to your 17. You're much stronger. So it's the same message, except for I just delivered it different this time.
Okay, so more affirmations. That's a magnet lead you'll create for more affirmations, and it'll be the affirmations. You can pull them out of the old book, you can pull them out of the new book, but you'll be able to download a free sheet, more affirmations, and you write those different affirmations.
Okay, I like that one.
Yeah, so you could even go start an Etsy shop, more affirmations. And it could be the t-shirts, the mugs, the glasses, the purses, the phone cases. Like literally more affirmations could be a whole store. We trademarking this for anybody watching this video. We trademarking it. We trademarking it. You will not beat Ebony Little to the punch. More affirmations, TM trademark. Give us a month or two, and it's gonna have the R, the registered. So
right.
back up. Do your due diligence. Do your due diligence and research, that name. And she should really have her own safe space. She should have her own more affirmations. She should have her own space and her own shop, and it should have her affirmations and it don't got to be a whole lot, journals.
Actually, I do have a journal that I started writing. I created an affirmation book because I'm supposed to be making one for my daughter who has not started her monthly yet.
Okay.
So I actually have it like almost written out. The whole, and I haven't been able to finish that project, but I was working on it last year too. And it was like an affirmation, like journal, like a 30-day journal that I've been working on.
Yeah.
So that might help with that too. Plus with like I'm making a first period box too. So yeah. It might help with that, both items. So
so yeah, you have the more affirmations, the journal. There's a lot. And so and I know you said one of the takeaways, one of the messages was that you wanted the readers to walk away really being able to affirm themselves. What do you mean affirm themselves, in what way and how?
Like really just building up your own self-esteem. Like telling yourself that you are great, and like nothing in your past will stop you, or your past defines you, but it doesn't make you who you are. In a way. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited. This sounds, it sounds really personal. And I just want to thank you in advance for even the parts you did feel comfortable sharing, for really sharing those. But as you go back and you do your rewrites, read it aloud and have that pause just to make sure that nothing's missing. You know, have that pause, take that pause, you know, while you're reading, and what do you hear? You know, and just to make sure you're telling this story, because this is your second time. We don't want no third time being a charm.
No. Mm-mm.
And just
Because I
make
gotta
sure,
move on to the next book. Like I gotta
yeah,
get on that
yeah,
because I'm
yeah.
actually setting this one up for another one. But they'll be standalones though.
So what are you going to do different this time around? Because it's your second time around with this book. What have you done differently? What are you going to do differently?
This time, really like developing the story better. I've done way better with developing. Um, I've been trying to like, promote a little bit, but without promoting, just giving people a piece of what's going on with my life as an author. Um, I did so much the first time that was so great that if I had to just kept on that path, I probably would be way like more because the way I was promoting before was so much more than what I was doing this time. This time I had been silently working because
Yeah,
of embarrassment type of thing. But but I'm not embarrassed anymore because
yeah,
it is what it is. That's what happened. I'm sure I'm not the first person, not first author who has written a first book that just was like, oh, that's trash. And
yeah,
it's not trash. And it just wasn't written like it should have been.
yeah,
So this time around, I'm definitely working on like making sure that the story makes sense. I've been rereading over it. Like I've actually been listening to the book on Word, and
mm-hmm,
I've read out loud. I've been at the library for hours, like every day, every chance I get. I have my laptop with me. I'm at the library. I'm renting a room there, or I'm in the little quiet rooms with my headphones on, and I'm going over the book, which is more. I cannot write at the house, which is what I've learned, that I cannot write at the house because I'm like, oh, let me put this load in real fast. Oh, let me make my bed. Oh, I forgot to do this. Oh, somebody's knocking on my door. So
yeah,
I spend a lot of time at like the library. I go to like the Panera Bread or a coffee shop. So, and I didn't do that before where I wasn't like dedicating those hours because I get up at like 3 o'clock in the morning to go to work. So before I was able to get up at 5 and write and then, get ready to clock in to go to work. And then I go to my second job and I come home and then I'm writing, adding stuff on there. This time I'm more like, I have the freedom to have my laptop at the job as long as, I got my work done. So I have
yeah,
my laptop there and I'm working on that. And then when I get off of work, in between picking up the kids from school, I'm at the library. The days that I don't have to pick them up, I'm at the library. I almost went to the library for this meeting, but I was afraid I was going to end up in a room. The last time I went to the library was a bunch of kids because so most of our libraries are next to a school, so there were some
yeah,
kids like kind of like playing around too much, teenagers playing around too much outside my room. And I'm like, okay, y'all are annoying me right now because I'm trying to focus on my book and you guys are playing and horse playing. And I don't
yeah.
want to be that person who goes to the library like, can you get these kids?
Who raised you?
Yeah, too much. Like, where are y'all supposed to be at? Like, are y'all supposed to be home right now? Like, so this time around, I've been dedicating more to actually writing and rereading it and listening to my book and like, just trying to work on like and like, like I've been trying to scan my books through like pro writing aid so I can see if I can find like the errors, like the echoes and the LYs and the issues that I have that I had before, which I didn't really take the time to do the last time. It was more
Mm,
like I was working two jobs. I had all of the kids here And I don't have all my kids here right now, only 2 kids here, versus last time I had all 4 of my kids, and then I was going through all the stresses with them and that what they had going on, but I wasn't leaving the house.
Mm-hmm.
Now I leave the house and I go and dedicate my time to writing and working on stuff. And I think that's a huge difference from the last time. And then me actually really working on what my editor is telling me to work on.
Yes.
That's
yes.
a whole lot.
Good.
And then,
good.
Like write down, like, you know, I did try to write down what my chapter is going to be like. I've actually this time I use Scrivener,
Mm-hmm.
and that has helped me so much using that. Like so much. It took a long time to learn it because it's intense. At first you're like, okay, so what do I do?
Yeah, that's one of the resources that I listed on the day 1 curriculum, I think. Yeah,
I
on the day
see
1
that. I
curriculum.
did see that on one of your slides, like after the fact, and I'm like, oh, I am using Scrivener now. But
Yeah.
I'm
so you going back through them slides, huh?
I have been going back to the slides. I'm like, wait a minute, where did she said this? Let me see if I can find this real fast. So like, it's like, you know, you can only take so much information in at one time.
Yeah.
And so it just depends on what stage you are when you can use that information. So like I've learned, I think I should probably be an expert on publishing and writing, but I'm not, with how many classes I've taken, how much stuff I've been part of. I should be an expert on writing, but it's just like, you can only take so much information in. You know, you're taking in, you know, information from your kids, from your job, from friends, you know, from TV, from social media, like all this information that's being dumped on you at the same time. So when it comes to like actually trying to run your book business, it's so much. So like I actually went back and found my binder that you had me make when on coaching. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, I have all the marketing tools that I need to do right here. Because, you know, after I had turned in the final, like the whole book in to the editor, I'm like, okay, so what do I do now? Because that's all I've been working on writing. And now I've turned this into her and I really can't do anything until she sent it back to me and I have to work on what she tells me to work on. So what do I do now? Oh, let me work on my marketing. I haven't told anybody about nothing. My book is going to crash and burn because nobody's going to know that I have this great book coming out now because I haven't talked about it. And I talked about it before, but when I did the book cover reveal, it was more than 6 months before I came out with the book. So I rushed because I was like, I was taking a long time. Well, first I was trying to figure out how to find like the right editor type thing. You know, money, it's always been a tight situation. And I'm like, okay, how much is it going to cost me to do the editing? You're telling me it's this, it's not no set prices. And I'm a set prices person. And I got to find someone that's like already gonna, like, am I gonna be making this payment plan for like years to come for the editing of my book, or like, you know, and then there's like the barcodes and paying for the book cover and the books to be printed and formatted and you know, all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, I gotta come up with all this money for everything.
Or get grants to cover it.
Or get grants to cover it. Which
we
I
taught
did.
You how to do that. Day 3.
Yes, which I did do some grants. I actually just got a grant a couple months ago, actually.
Okay.
And
yay!
Yes. So it was just like so much that I took in, and like now I'm like, okay, now I can use this information. Now it's time for me to do this. Like I never created like email, like, you know, list of emails. And so now I've been trying to think about, I actually started on Mailer Lite trying to like, it's so much harder than it's easier said than done. Like it's so much easier to be like, okay, I'm just gonna start sending out this newsletter. But then you don't think about like, oh, I actually gotta go and I gotta go on this email service and I have to create this this email to send out to everybody. And then I gotta figure out a way to get email addresses because I can't send it to myself and just my friends. So I gotta create ways to get, I have to offer them because it's called it's with them. What is in it for me? What's in it for me? So I'm gonna give you my email address for what? What are you giving me?
Yeah. Remember that's in day 2 of the conference curriculum. And so remember, that's why we called it the literary Bible, because it depends on where you are in your literary journey, where you're going to give the revelation. Remember, Danielle was like, Miss Joylynn, I read that thing all year long. Ever since I got it, I read it all year long. And sometimes stuff just don't hit until it needs to hit. And you even go back like, was this in here? Did I read this? This was not in here last year. This was not in here last year, because you get that revelation depending on where you are in the journey. That's why I tell everybody, this is a quarter of a century worth of information. This is information it took me 25 years to learn and gather. There's no way you are going to be able to receive this and just know it. Just know it. The rules, the laws, the principles of publishing. Just like in the Bible, we have the rules, laws, spiritual principles, the spiritual rules, laws, and principles. And you can read the Bible once and you can't say, okay, I'm done. I got it all. Same thing with the AKA literary blueprint, BKA literary Bible. You've got to keep going through it. Some of the stuff, it's not even going to matter. It's not even going to make sense. It's not even going to, register at the time. But depending on where you are along your journey, as long as you keep moving, as long as you keep pushing, the stuff's going to start to resonate and you're going to get a new revelation about it each and every time. Because like you said, it's information overload, but y'all pay a lot of money for that information. So I'm not about to give y'all webinars. People would even say, oh my gosh, this is just so much information and there's so much on the slides. And they say you should only have 14 words on the slides of webinars. I said, people are not paying thousands of dollars for a webinar. I'm not giving y'all a webinar. I'm giving y'all everything I learned up to yesterday. I might die tomorrow. And what I know for sure is that God did not give me all of this information to take to the grave with me. So y'all gonna get it. And then it's up to you to work it, to use it, to remember you have it, and to implement and execute based upon where you are on your journey. So you got it all, Ebony. You got everything you need. You got everything you need. Just don't try to take it all in and remember everything. It's your literary rules, laws, and principles, and you will get the revelations you need based upon where you are at your journey. So I'm so proud of you. I'm so excited. I hear you talking about social media. Where are you at? What social media platforms are you on? And what's the name? So like if people are searching for you?
Under my name, Ebony Little, I'm on Facebook and I'm on Instagram. I technically have a TikTok, but I haven't. It's under Queen Ebony 21, I think. But but that one, yeah. So my kids are telling me I should start doing videos. I'm like, y'all know I don't like being on video.
What about your website?
I do have a website. It's under my name, ebonylittle.com or pagebooks.com.
Okay. So ebonylittle.com is for you, the author, and pagebooks.com is for you as the publisher?
Well, I just switched it because at first remember when I first started writing my book, I was going to go by my middle name Page. And so that's how I came up with like Page Books. But then I ended up just going by my name. But in the meantime, I had already created Page Books. I had already got the, the website or that. And so recently I decided to like just start branding my own name. So I was able to get Ebony Little added onto my
Okay.
website. So that's why there's two different ways to get to it for now until PageBook expires. And then it's just going to be little.com.
Okay.
So,
EbonyLittle.com.
yeah, ebonylittle.com. So,
Okay.
yeah, www.ebonylittle.com.
Okay. So today that we're recording this interview is May 13th, 2024. When is your Juneteenth event / cover reveal?
It
When's
is
that?
on June 23rd.
June 23rd. Where at?
It's going to be at the Martin Luther King Library.
Okay. Okay. And you're going to put that on your website, right?
Yes.
Okay. That is so exciting. And then you're going to think about maybe what that official release date is going to be. But in the meantime, people could come to your website and pre-order.
Yes, they can come and they can pre-order. I do have some blog posts on there, so they can look at some of my blog posts. I do, and I am in an anthology book, so that is out. It's on Amazon as well.
What's the anthology?
It's called The Gift of Freedom.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I'm so excited. And I know we've got some work we're going to do together on making sure, we get some of them promo marketing assets out there. So I'm excited about that. But I think, from where you started to where you are now, I just see a different light. I hear confidence now. I hear a different level of confidence in not only yourself as an author, but in this version of the book. Like you're really putting in the work, you're really doing the work. And I'm just excited.
Like I've been tired, I've been stressed, I've been crying. Like, not because of the story, but just because I'm so tired and I'm like, I don't know how to change what word. Word do I change this to? It's been a lot of growing pains, and now I know my story. Like I'm connected to my story now, which is what I lost. I lost it, and I'm like, I don't even know my characters at all. But we originally started we originally started just editing the book, and then we said forget it 6 months ago, and we rewrote it, and that's why it's way better. New name, new book cover. The name of the book is still the same, but the everything has changed about it. So same concept is the same.
Same concept, same character names and all of
Different
that.
names. Oh, actually, different character names.
Okay.
Moore's name has always been Moore, but everybody else's names changed. Even the love interest has changed by everything.
Okay.
So it works way better, and it makes sense.
Good, because it needs to make sense if you want to make sense from the readers.
Right. Like, what is this?
But you got pathfinders in every corner of your map, so you have the support there. Just make sure you open your mouth and ask for that support.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do the beta reader. I might have to get some beta readers for sure, because I do need to make sure that, because been me and my editor really reading the book, and I do need some people who are gonna like actually tell me, like, don't give me fluff. Hurt my feelings, you need to, because it hurt my feelings. I found wrong with it. I'm like, I can't sell this.
And definitely get feedback from the community that you're going to partner with. Your audience, really get, like I said, find organizations and support groups and get the feedback from the community because that's the true core community that you want your message to hit. And so make sure that you're a voice, you're a spokesperson, and that you get their feedback, that they are seen and heard. And I don't really like to use the word can relate to, because our stories is our stories. And the whole grading and review system based on whether or not you could relate, that's subjective, but that it feels authentic. Whether you can relate with somebody's story or not doesn't mean that it's not genuine, authentic, factual, could have happened, did happen. Just because you can't relate doesn't allow you to give it a certain measure or star or rating. You just simply couldn't relate. You simply couldn't relate. So when you say you want people to be able to relate to your story, you want them, the community of which your character is representing, you want them to be able to relate to it. The world doesn't have to relate to your story. That is your story. And but you do want the community who you're representing and serving to be able to relate to it, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, thank you so much for carving time out of your schedule. Am I the first one to interview you about this book? The second version of your book?
You are. It's all first, huh?
This is exclusive. Yes. Well, thank you for allowing me this exclusive interview. And I will definitely be in touch because we have got some work to do. And I heard you say you've been going back through my past emails. Have they been helpful?
They have been. And I haven't deleted none of them. So they all in my email. It's my other email. Like, it's supposed to be my business one anyways. So I'm like, let me just put her name in real fast. I'm like, oh, I got all these emails. And then I went and found my book, my binder, and I was like, I have my binder, and it's right here. I remember she made me make this. she said for a reason. All about synopsis and marketing and editing and and creating a website and posts and social media, everything right there. And then I had ideas that I bounced off you, which I have another idea too.
Okay.
Oh, I've been thinking of this phrase, like, I don't know, page, turn the page or something like that, because my middle name Paige. And so, like, kids used to tease me and say turn the page, but that's actually a good term.
It is.
Like, turn the page readers or something. I don't know. It's just been in my head. I just haven't been able to like figure out what it's gonna be.
Yeah. Let's play with some ideas. You already know you can shoot me ideas. Let's play around with it and let's see what drops in us spirit. See what we could come up with. Okay. Well, I'm excited. Like I said, I know we got a couple of projects we're getting ready to work on, but for now, I cannot wait to share this interview with the world. If you haven't been, tell them. If they don't know, now they about to know. They gonna learn today. And I am going to give you the raw video of this because you can cut up some clips and put it on TikTok. So I'm with your kids. I'm with the babies. Play around with TikTok a little bit because you drop some gems and some jewels, and you had some very transparent moments in this interview, and I could see them, tapping and touching and connecting with a couple of folks' spirit on TikTok Universal. Just think about it. I'm going to shoot you that raw video, but I'm going to also post it on the Act Like an Author, Think Like a Business platform and share the link and share it with all your fellow Pathfinders so that we can support you, because we are so proud of you, Ebony. But I know there is one person who is the most proud of you, or at least who should be, and that is yourself. That is yourself. So,
I am.
thank you, Ebony.
You.
Bye-bye.
Bye.